Chapter 4. Secrets and Shadows. After successfully infiltrating the high-security area and retrieving the data from the Advanced Research Lab, our trio reconvened in a secure location on the Celestial Nexus to examine our findings. The lab's data, combined with the information from the hidden archive, promised to shed light on the wormhole anomaly and potentially reveal much more. Thankfully, Frank arrived and immediately set up an AI to help us sort through the data collected and anything else we found. As we sifted through the data, the scale and depth of the research conducted on the station became increasingly apparent. The hidden archives contained years of undocumented experiments, theoretical models, and observations that painted a complex picture of wormhole technology and its development. The documents revealed advanced research into wormhole stabilization and manipulation techniques, far beyond what we the specialists had known. This included experimental methods for altering wormhole properties, which resonated closely with the anomalies I had observed in my own experiment. We discovered references to other wormhole anomalies, similar to the one I had encountered but never publicly reported. These anomalies were recorded, analyzed, and then seemingly covered up, hinting at a pattern of unknown occurrences within the wormhole network. Some of the theoretical work suggested that these anomalies undiscovered aspects of quantum mechanics and spacetime. This was a groundbreaking revelation, indicating that our understanding of wormholes was just the tip of the iceberg. The archive contained evidence of covert collaborations between the initiative, government bodies, and other, unidentified entities. These collaborations appeared to focus on attempting to harness wormhole anomalies for various purposes, including energy generation, faster-than-light communication, and as potential weapons. There were also notes about potential dangers to spacetime fabric, risks of creating uncontrollable phenomena. They had never uncovered the same capabilities I'd found, but it seemed only a matter of time. As we delved deeper into the data, the enormity of what we had uncovered began to sink in. We were dealing with secrets that had the potential to revolutionize our understanding of the universe, but also posed significant risks if misused or misunderstood. Katy, her eyes scanning through a particularly complex dataset, looked up with a sense of urgency. "This changes everything," she said. "The potential here is incredible. Frank, we're only about 37% of the way through indexing, who knows what else is here?" Pearl, reviewing a series of communications between unknown parties, added, "There are more players in this game than we realized. This isn't just about scientific discovery. It's about power and control." My own feelings were a mix of excitement and apprehension. The anomaly that I had stumbled upon was not an isolated incident but part of a much larger and more complex tapestry. The revelations from the archive opened up new avenues for exploration but also unveiled a web of secrecy and ethical dilemmas. I told the group, "It's already obvious we need to get back in the lab. This data gives us a world of potential pursuits to understand the anomaly." Our meeting concluded with a resolve to thoroughly analyze the data and consider our next steps. The revelations from the archive had not only deepened our understanding of the anomaly but also placed upon us the responsibility of deciding how to proceed with knowledge that could change the course of human history. Understanding the wormhole's true nature. The revelations from the archive and the Advanced Research Lab set us on a path to a deeper understanding of the wormhole's true nature. The data we had gathered was not just extensive. It was transformative, challenging our existing knowledge and theories about wormhole mechanics and their place in the cosmos. As we pored over the information, several key aspects began to crystallize, painting a new picture of wormhole technology and its potential. The research indicated that wormholes were far more malleable than previously thought. Techniques for stabilizing and controlling their openings were more advanced, suggesting that wormholes could be manipulated for more precise and varied use, extending beyond basic travel between fixed points. Up until now, every wormhole had to start with something physically traversing the distance between 2 points to create a linkage for the wormhole to leverage. These suggested techniques to spin up wormholes without having to send spaceships. A significant portion of the data pointed towards occurrences of quantum resonance within wormholes, a phenomenon that could explain the anomalies I had observed. This resonance was linked to fluctuations in the quantum fabric of the wormholes, potentially allowing for controlled manipulation of their properties. Some of the theoretical models proposed that wormholes could provide connectivity not just between points in our universe but potentially to other dimensions or realms of existence. This was a speculative but groundbreaking concept, opening up possibilities for exploration beyond our current understanding of physics. What even was another realm of existence, the document didn't say, and its silence on the matter was even more fascinating. The documents revealed experiments focused on using wormholes for energy transfer and information exchange at speeds surpassing any current technology. This had implications for energy distribution, communication across vast distances, and even the potential for new forms of computing. As we discussed these findings, it became evident that we were standing on the precipice of a new era in space exploration and physics, and some group, had purposely buried the information away from humanity. Katy, with her background in astrophysics, was particularly struck by the potential for groundbreaking discoveries. "We're looking at a revolution in how we interact with the very fabric of the universe," she remarked, a sense of awe in her voice. Pearl, ever the strategist, was more focused on the potential applications and the need for careful stewardship of this technology. "The power to manipulate wormholes could be a double-edged sword," she cautioned. "We need to ensure it's used wisely and safely, but this is absolutely technology that will benefit everyone." For me, the data was both a vindication of my initial discovery and a deepening of the mystery. The wormhole anomaly I had encountered was just one piece of a vast and intricate puzzle. Understanding its true nature was more than an intellectual pursuit. It was a journey into uncharted territory, where the boundaries of science and philosophy merged. Our discussions led to plans for further research and experiments, using the data from the archive as a foundation. We needed to test the theories, to explore the practical applications and limitations of this newfound knowledge. The journey to understand our wormhole's true nature was not just a scientific endeavor. It was a venture into a realm where curiosity, responsibility, and wonder converged. As we delved deeper into the mysteries of the wormhole, we were not just uncovering secrets of the cosmos. We were redefining what it meant to explore, to understand, and to dream. The emergence of the corporate threat. Amidst our exploration into the wormhole's true nature, a new challenge began to surface, adding a layer of complexity to our mission. It became increasingly clear that we were not the only ones interested in the wormhole anomaly and the breakthroughs surrounding it. A corporate entity, previously a silent observer in the shadows, emerged as a significant threat. This corporation, known as Helios Dynamics, was a powerhouse in the field of astrophysics and quantum technology. Their sudden interest in our activities was initially hinted at through surveillance and inquiries. However, it soon escalated into a more overt presence on the celestial nexus. We noticed an uptick in surveillance on the station. Unmarked drones and unfamiliar personnel were seen monitoring key areas and personnel, including our team. There were several instances of unauthorized access to our base-level research data and communication logs. A smokescreen we had set up was paying off. With the help of our AIs, we had created a virtual dataset to provide just such an intrusion with enough data they thought they had gotten everything. These breaches were sophisticated, bypassing the station's advanced security protocols, hinting at strong capabilities and intent. Helios Dynamics began exerting pressure on the Wormhole initiative through political and financial channels. They pushed for collaboration, offering resources and support in exchange for access to the Anomaly research team and inserting their own team onto the project. Pearl uncovered the subtle evidence of corporate espionage. It appeared Helios Dynamics had planted spies within the initiative, individuals who were subtly steering research and reporting back on all activities. The realization that Helios Dynamics was actively pursuing the wormhole anomaly and our research brought a sense of urgency to our mission. The corporation's involvement complicated our objectives, introducing potential risks not just to our work but to the broader implications of technology falling into corporate hands. Katy, with her government connections, began countermeasures to shield our project from Helios Dynamics' influence. She leveraged her position to secure additional security clearances and initiated discreet inquiries into the corporation's activities and objectives. Pearl utilized her tactical expertise to enhance our data security and implement counter-surveillance measures. She also started a covert investigation into the spies within the initiative, aiming to expose and neutralize them by spreading different stories to pinpoint sources. Frank and I focused on securing our research data, employing advanced encryption and creating redundant storage solutions. I also worked on developing countermeasures to the corporate espionage tactics, ensuring our communications and plans remained confidential. As Katy delved deeper, it became evident that Helios Dynamics' interest in the wormhole anomaly was driven by more than scientific curiosity. They saw the anomaly as a key to unlocking new technologies and potentially monopolizing wormhole-based applications. Their agenda was a mix of profit, power, and technological dominance. The emergence of Helios Dynamics as a corporate threat added yet another new dimension to our mission. They had been shipping in ex-military teams the entire time we had been on the station, teams that were becoming increasingly hostile to both station management and our limited interactions with them. It was no longer just about exploring the unknown for scientific advancement. It had become a race against time to ensure that the knowledge and power of the wormhole anomaly remained in responsible hands. Our team, once solely focused on the pursuit of knowledge, now found ourselves in the midst of a high-stakes game of corporate intrigue and power plays. The shadows of the celestial nexus had deepened, and within them lurked not just scientific mysteries, but also the machinations of corporate ambition. The group's decision to escape. As the looming threat of Helios Dynamics cast a shadow over our work at the celestial nexus, the reality of our situation grew increasingly dire. Katy, Pearl, Frank, and I found ourselves cornered into a decision we never thought we'd have to make when we'd arrived. We could not risk accessing the labs we needed. We needed to escape the station with all the added attention and find a safe space to be our research sanctuary. The gravity of the decision hung heavily in the air as we gathered in the dimly lit confines of my lab, surrounded by the hum of computers and the faint glow of holographic displays. "I never imagined it would come to this," Katy said, her voice laced with a mixture of frustration and determination. "Helios Dynamics has left us no choice. We need to get out and take our findings with us. Every request Pearl and I have made to leave the station, demand even, was rejected with no explanation aside from stop asking." Frank nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility. "Our research, the data on the wormhole anomaly, it's too important to fall into the wrong hands. We need to secure everything, encrypt it beyond their reach. They have limited the bandwidth available for the station and we can't transfer enough to be meaningful." I found myself quizzed on all the maintenance items that were going on in the station, looking for opportunities to pursue our agenda or slip away unnoticed. Pearl, ever the strategist, was already mapping out our escape. "We'll use the maintenance shutdown of the communication array to our advantage. It's our best shot at slipping away unnoticed. With the groups we've seen coming to the station, it's only a matter of time before they directly confront us." The plan was risky, but it seemed our only option. As the station's main communication array was scheduled for a routine shutdown, we could enact our plan under the guise of darkness and silence. Katy's role was crucial. Using her governmental authority, she discreetly secured an unscheduled transport vessel, masking it as an urgent, confidential mission. "I've arranged for a small transport ship. It'll be logged as a diplomatic run, nothing to raise suspicion," she explained, her tone reflecting the urgency of our situation. I focused on the data, transferring years of research onto portable drives, encrypting each file with complex algorithms. The information we had on the anomaly was groundbreaking, and I couldn't shake the feeling of unease as I stored it away. This data, it could change everything we know about wormhole technology. Why couldn't they leave us alone another month, a week? I muttered, more to myself than to anyone else. Pearl orchestrated a series of distractions across the station. Her plan was to trigger false alarms and fabricate a minor emergency in a distant module. "It'll scatter the crew and security," she said confidently. "Buy us enough time to get to the docking bay without drawing attention." As the station buzzed with the orchestrated chaos, we moved quickly and silently through the corridors. Katy led us through the less frequented paths, her ID granting us access. An intense chase through the station. As we navigated the labyrinthine corridors of the celestial nexus, the weight of our situation bore down on us with every hurried step. The station, once a beacon of scientific inquiry, now felt like a maze designed to entrap us. The patrols are getting closer, Katy whispered, her eyes darting to the handheld device displaying the station's internal security feed. We need to keep moving. Pearl, ever the tactician, led us through a series of narrow service ducts. These should be less monitored, she said, her voice low but firm. We can use them to bypass the main checkpoints. Frank and I trailed behind, my mind racing with thoughts of the anomaly data secured in my datapad. Every turn we took, every door we slipped through, felt like a step further into uncertainty. Do you think they know what we're after? I asked, voicing the concern that had been gnawing at me since the chase began. Katy glanced back at me, a hint of determination in her eyes. They might not know the specifics, but Helios Dynamics is aware we're onto something big. And they're desperate to leverage it themselves. As we emerged from the ducts, a sudden blare of alarms filled the air. I hoped it was Katy's handiwork, a diversion to draw the security teams away from our path. When Frank piped up, that should give us some breathing room. I just created a new diversion with some equipment I left in my room. Sorry, it took so long to give my AI its instructions, but his expression remained tense. We could hear footsteps coming our way, so we ducked into a maintenance closet mere seconds before a patrol strolled past. The close proximity of our pursuers was a constant reminder of the peril we faced. Utilizing my knowledge of the station's maintenance systems, I accessed a control panel, manipulating the environmental controls to create a temporary blackout in the corridor behind us. Go now, I urged, as the lights flickered and died, plunging the hallway into darkness. We moved, silent and swift as the guards raced toward the shadowed section. But as we neared the docking bay, the sound of approaching footsteps heralded the arrival of more security forces. They're cutting us off, Pearl hissed, peering around the corner. In a split-second decision, Pearl looked at us with a resolve that was both terrifying and awe-inspiring. I'll draw them off. You three get to the ship. No, Pearl, we can find another way, Katy protested, but Pearl was already moving, her figure swiftly disappearing down the corridor. We all exchanged a look of shared understanding and fear. Time was running out. We dashed towards the docking bay, the sound of Pearl's diversion echoing through the station to us. The bay was in chaos, alarms blaring and lights flashing. We sprinted towards our vessel, the bay doors beginning to close in a station-wide lockdown. We slipped through just in time, the doors sealing shut behind us. As the vessel undocked, the enormity of what lay ahead began to sink in. The celestial nexus, once a beacon of scientific pursuit, had become a battleground for corporate and government espionage. Our escape marked a shift in our roles from following the rules to making our own. I looked out the window at the receding figure of the space station, thinking of Pearl. Her sacrifice had given us this chance to escape, to bring back crucial data. The journey back was shrouded in a heavy silence. We sat, lost in our thoughts, contemplating the cost of our mission. We had the data that could change everything, but the shadow of what we had left behind lingered in the air. The chase through the celestial nexus was more than a physical escape. It was a stark reminder of the dangerous game we were playing. A game where knowledge was power, and power was fiercely guarded by those like Helios Dynamics. We didn't even know if we had won this round, but the battle was far from over. We sat in a charged silence as the ship carried us away from the station. Our work is far from over, I finally said, breaking the silence. Whatever Helios Dynamics is planning, we can't let them use the anomaly for their own gain. This is about more than just us now. It's about the future of science, of humanity. My friends nodded, a silent pact forming between us. Our escape from the celestial nexus was just the beginning. Ahead of us lay a journey filled with challenges, but driven by a resolute commitment to safeguard our discovery and ensure that the power of the wormhole anomaly was used for the betterment of all, not the whims of a corporate entity. Evading corporate agents. Katy, sensors are picking up a craft on our tail. Its transponder says Helios Dynamics, I announced, my hands on the controls. She leaned over the console, analyzing the data. We need to lose them. Use the junk orbit field coming up on your left. I nodded, guiding our vessel into the dense cluster of space debris. This is going to get rough, I said, focusing intently on the path ahead. Katy kept her eyes on the sensor readings. Just a little more. Now. Hard right. With a swift maneuver, our ship dodged through the dense pile of junk, the pursuing craft losing sight of us. Finally, Katy broke the silence. "That was too close back there," she said, her voice tense. "Helios Dynamics is more relentless than we anticipated. They're not just after the data. They're after us." I nodded, feeling the weight of her words. "I know. We've stumbled upon something much bigger than we imagined. This isn't just about scientific discovery anymore. It's about control." Katy looked at me, her eyes reflecting a mix of fear and determination. "We need a plan, Casey. Once we land, Helios Dynamics will be combing every inch of Earth to find us and the data." I leaned back in my seat, feeling the vibrations of the ship as we hurtled through space. "We'll need allies, people we can trust. We have to get this information into the right hands before Helios Dynamics can spin it to their advantage." Katy nodded, pulling up a map on the control panel. "I have contacts who can help, but we'll have to be careful. Helios Dynamics has eyes and ears everywhere." As we plotted our course, we discussed our options, each aware of the enormity of the task ahead. We were mere individuals against a corporate giant, but the stakes were too high to back down now. We managed to get back to a wormhole that we thought would be both unmonitored and unlikely to be noticed. Escaping back to Earth. After landing back on Earth at the private facility, I noticed Katy's gaze harden as she observed the surroundings. "We're not alone here. Someone has eyes on the ground," she whispered. "Plan B then," Frank replied, checking the datapad to make sure his software was set up. "Urban evasion. I've set up an AI for each of us to load to help watch for trackers and coach you through evading them. I don't know about the rest of you, but I've never needed to evade anything before." "Exactly. We split up, blend in, and regroup later. Stay off the grid," Katy instructed, her voice low. As we moved through the city, our communication was brief and asynchronous. "Katy, I'm changing my disguise again." Heading towards the subway, I communicated through a secure line, which she saw 15 minutes later. "Copy that. I'm arranging a safe house through a contact. Run out the orange line and back the green. That should be enough time for me to have a location. Never use a station that doesn't have multiple lines intersecting." "Be careful," she responded. My journey through the city was a blur of faces, with the AI coaching. Each step felt a calculated risk. Frank's AI voice came through the earpiece, calm and reassuring. "You've got 2 agents on your trail. Turn left at the next intersection and enter the shopping complex." Its guidance was invaluable, allowing me to evade the agents. Having narrowly escaped Helios Dynamics at the Celestial Nexus, Katy, Frank and I found ourselves in the confines of a secure safe house just outside the city, a hidden sanctuary provided by one of Katy's government contacts. The air was thick with the scent of old paper and the subtle hum of high-tech surveillance countermeasures. The walls, lined with antiquated bookshelves and modern digital screens, created a juxtaposition of past and future, a fitting backdrop for our clandestine meeting. Once at the safe house, I placed a call to Dr. Adrian Foster. As a trusted ally, I needed to ask him to provide much-needed support. In a risk Katy and I debated, he came in person where I introduced him to Frank and Katy. "You're doing important work. No individual group can be allowed to control this technology," Adrian said, handing me a secure data storage device that wasn't issued by the Celestial Nexus. "Thank you. We won't let their pursuit stop us," I assured him, feeling a sense of camaraderie. "This is taking its toll, but we can't back down." "Too much is at stake," Katy admitted, her usual resolve softened by fatigue. "We'll see this through, Katy," I affirmed, feeling the weight of our self-imposed mission. Finally, in a secure location with the resources Adrian provided, we planned our next steps late into the night. "We need to be smarter, stay ahead our pursuers. The data we have is too crucial," I said, poring over maps and reports. "Can we just release the data into the public sphere and hope others can pick up the thread?" Katy nodded, her eyes reflecting a fierce determination. "We'll expose them, no matter what it takes." Frank shook his head. "Exposure isn't enough, Even with the data, without specific actions to be taken, it will never gain enough attention before it's suppressed. We need to demonstrate something nobody expects to take the cat out of the bag. In the meantime, I need to get some sleep, my brain is foggy. Debriefing and sharing findings. 2 days later. Adrian was back with more supplies. We hadn't seen any evidence of surveillance, and we hadn't been able to find out what had happened to Pearl Hale. Katy paced the room, her steps echoing slightly. This place. It feels like a scene from an old spy movie, she muttered, a faint smile breaking her usually stern expression. I chuckled, easing the tension I put on my best detective voice. Well, it's better than being in the clutches of Helios Dynamics. We began our debriefing with a thorough recount of our journey, from the initial discovery of the anomaly. I finally admitted the experimental confirmation of a low-powered wormhole, and the harrowing experiences escaping the celestial nexus. Each word painted a vivid picture of our odyssey, the challenges faced, and the close calls that had brought us to this moment. As I presented the data we had extracted, my hands moved deftly over the safe room's hollow table, bringing up intricate 3D models of my experiments showing the lowered power requirements. Then we moved on to the space station's archives and the advanced research lab. The holograms cast a soft glow on Katy's face, highlighting her intense concentration as she absorbed every detail. Katy then took over, outlining the broader implications of our findings. She spoke passionately about the potential for groundbreaking advancements, that there were monumental new discoveries in what we already had, but also about the risks of such potent technology falling into wrong hands. Her words were not just factual. They carried an emotional weight, reflecting her deep commitment. We need to be smart about how we release this information. We need to make them think we've provided everything while avoiding the most startling revelations we found, she said, her gaze meeting mine. It's not just about the data to me. It's about ensuring it's used for the betterment of humanity. Our strategy for public disclosure started as a careful balance of spreading awareness and safeguarding the information from exploitation. When Frank pointed out that if we just made sure it got into enough people's hands, it would also make it into the public sphere. We debated the nuances of this approach, our voices echoing off the bunker's walls, blending with the soft whir of computers. Reaching out to trusted figures in the scientific and governmental spheres was a delicate operation. We meticulously drafted messages, ensuring every word conveyed the gravity of our discovery while protecting its integrity. Most wouldn't attempt to use the data on how to set up the wormholes with energy savings, but we had to hope enough would that it couldn't be suppressed. Frank took ownership of dropping the same information and instruction on virtual groups who would be interested. As we discussed potential reactions from Helios Dynamics, our tones grew somber. They won't take this lying down, I said, a tinge of worry in my voice. They are a business. If we release this, they won't be interested in us any longer. Katy replied, determination stealing her features. The meeting concluded despite the exhaustion and the looming threat. We reaffirmed our commitment to our discovery. We sat there, in the quiet of the bunker, our resolve stronger than ever. This debriefing marked more than a turning point in our mission. It was a moment of unity, a fusion of our individual journeys into a single purpose, to unveil the secrets of the wormhole for the greater good of all. So, we packaged everything and arranged with our personal assistant software to release it. Delving into the corporation's history. In the aftermath of our debriefing, the air was thick with a mix of exhaustion and unresolved tension. Katy Lozano, her brow furrowed in concentration, turned to me. Casey, we need to understand Helios Dynamics, not just what they're after but why. Their history could hold the key. If this was widespread, we should have seen more companies at the space station. We gathered in a dimly lit room, the walls lined with digital displays and ancient books. Our team, a tapestry of diverse expertise, settled in. Adrian Foster initiated the discussion. Helios Dynamics wasn't always the titan it is today. We need to trace their ascent. Frank Bryant, our AI specialist, adjusted his glasses, his voice steady. I remember when they were just a small firm, dabbling in aerospace engineering. Their growth, it was meteoric, aggressive, and strategic. Right, Katy affirmed, tapping on her tablet. Their shift from a modest firm to an industry behemoth involved some questionable steps. Mergers, acquisitions, and a fair share of controversies. I chimed in, recalling articles I had read. They had a knack for winning government contracts, often outbidding their competitors in ways that raised eyebrows. Adrian leaned forward, his eyes sharp. Their CEO, a visionary or a master manipulator, depending on who you ask. He steered them into uncharted territories, including experimental quantum research. Katy's expression hardened. There were rumors, allegations of espionage, data manipulation. Many lawsuits, conveniently settled or buried. Their government ties, Frank added, deep and convoluted. It gave them access to resources, information, and influence, well beyond a typical corporation. I pondered aloud. Their technological breakthroughs, while impressive, were they worth the ethical compromises? This pursuit of the wormhole anomaly seems in line with their pattern. Not just pursuit, domination historically, Katy interjected. They must see the anomaly as a key to new power sources, travel technologies, even weapons. We delved deeper into their history. Frank brought up archived news articles, interviews, and financial reports, painting a picture of a corporation that grew in the shadows of ambition and secrecy. Their rise wasn't just about innovation, Katy pointed out. It was about control. Controlling technology, information, and the narrative. Our discussion turned to the ethical dilemmas posed by such power. What we would have given for Pearl's military background to provide a unique perspective on the potential defense applications. We need to be ready, I said, determination in my voice. We thought they'd let it go, but all this information makes me think Helios Dynamics won't take our interference lightly. We have got to anticipate their next move. Katy nodded. Building a coalition is our best bet. We need allies in science, government, even among their competitors. The conversation shifted to strategy. We brainstormed ways to unite various groups under a common cause, preventing the misuse of the anomaly. Pearl proposed a series of discrete meetings with potential allies. We need people who can match Helios Dynamics' reach and resources. Frank suggested leveraging the AI community. There are many who are uneasy about the directions Helios Dynamics is taking. We can rally them. As the hours passed, our plan took shape. We were no longer fugitives in our minds but active players in a larger game, one that spanned the realms of science, politics, and ethics. I thought about our journey so far, the risks we had taken. It was no longer just about curiosity. It was about shaping the future of human interaction with the cosmos. Frank, ever the philosopher, mused, this anomaly, it's more than a scientific curiosity. It's a test of our maturity as a civilization. Katy's resolve was clear. This isn't just a fight against Helios Dynamics. It's a fight for how we, as a species, handle power and knowledge. We began to craft a plan of action, each of us carrying a piece of the puzzle and a role to play in the unfolding drama. I stayed back, looking at the screens displaying Helios Dynamics' history. Their story was a testament to human ambition, but also a warning. Katy joined me, her expression thoughtful. We're on the right side of history, Casey. But history is often written by the victors. We need to ensure that truth prevails. I nodded in agreement. Our battle was not just against a corporation. It was a struggle for the soul of scientific discovery and its role in society. As I left the room, the weight of our mission settled on my shoulders. We were guardians of a discovery that could change everything. In the meantime, though, I had to write up everything we had discussed and planned and get it back to the group for review. A comprehensive plan. The write-up. Our strategy involves multiple fronts. We plan to continue our scientific investigation into the anomaly, bolster our efforts to inform and influence policymakers and the public, and prepare for any legal or political battles with Helios Dynamics. This required a coordinated effort across different expertise and sectors. 1. Scientific exploration and collaboration. Adrian, Casey, Frank. We must intensify our research, delving deeper into the data we have extracted and collaborating with scientists and institutions worldwide. Our goal is to fully understand the wormhole anomaly and its possibilities, ensuring that any future exploration or exploitation was based on a solid foundation of knowledge and ethical consideration. 2. Engaging with the public and authorities, Katy. Recognizing the power of public opinion and the need for regulatory oversight, we initiated a campaign to share our findings in a responsible manner. This involved liaising with journalists, organizing scientific symposiums, and private briefings with government officials to ensure the facts were accurately presented and understood. 3. Legal and ethical frameworks, Casey and Katy. We need to work with legal experts and ethicists to build a case for establishing international regulations and oversight mechanisms for wormhole research and exploration. Our aim was to prevent any single entity, such as Helios Dynamics, from monopolizing this powerful technology. 4. Preparing for Helios Dynamics counteractions, Frank and Katy. Expecting pushback from the corporation, we prepare for a range of scenarios, from legal battles to public disinformation campaigns. We also enhance our security measures to protect our data and personnel from potential espionage. 5. Building a wider coalition, all. Our efforts to build a broad coalition need to see momentum, attracting support from various sectors. In the long term, this included other corporations who see the benefits of a more regulated approach to wormhole technology, NGOs focused on ethical scientific advancement, and even grassroots movements advocating for responsible space exploration. We need to plan sufficient marketing to explain these issues. 6. Setting the stage for a global discourse. We realized that the issues surrounding the wormhole anomaly were not just scientific or corporate matters but touched on fundamental questions about humanity's future. We aimed to set the stage for a global discourse on how humanity should navigate this new frontier, advocating for a future where such profound discoveries are used for the benefit of all. We sent our data far and wide with emails and public forums. It wouldn't be long until we knew if it was safe to go home. A reunited friend. In the dimming light of dusk, our group gathered in the concealed safe house, a place that had become a refuge from the relentless pursuit of Helios Dynamics. The air was tense with anticipation. We were awaiting Pearl Hale, who had reached out to Katy through her office. Pearl had been conspicuously absent since our narrow escape from the celestial nexus. The door slid open, and Pearl stepped in, her presence as commanding as ever. She looked slightly disheveled, a rarity for someone we were accustomed to being meticulously composed. There was an intensity in her eyes. Katy and I exchanged glances and interrupted before she could say anything her with hugs. Pearl began trying to talk even while we celebrated her being there, her voice steady but tinged with an undercurrent of emotion. "I know you all want to know what happened when I went to skirmish with Helios Dynamics," she announced, and the room fell silent. "After my distraction and your escape, I directly engaged with a team and managed to take them all down with stunners. That wasn't good enough for us and we demanded the details." Pearl leaned against the wall, her eyes reflecting the dim light of the room as she recounted her skirmish with Helios Dynamics. "I had to act quickly," she began, her voice steady but laced with the intensity of the memory. "The first guard was unaware of my presence, engrossed in his communicator, and I knew I needed his stunner." She described how she closed the distance silently, her footsteps masked by the hum of the station's machinery. "As I approached, I could feel my heart pounding. I knew I had only one chance." In a swift, calculated move, she disarmed the guard, using his momentary surprise to her advantage. With a deft maneuver, she knocked him out, securing the stunner. The next challenge was their heavy hitter, Pearl continued, her eyes narrowing at the recollection. Big, strong, and clearly experienced in combat. This part of the battle required not just skill but raw courage. She baited him into a narrow corridor, where his size became a disadvantage. Using the environment to her advantage, she dodged his powerful blows, waiting for an opening. When it came, she struck with precision, targeting his vulnerabilities. It was a battle of technique against brute strength, and technique won. Pearl paused, taking a deep breath before describing the next phase. "The team was coordinated, moving in to flank me." She recounted a dance of danger and agility, where she weaved through the corridor, stunning 2 more female guards with rapid, successive shots. Her movements were a blend of trained technique and survival instinct, each step a calculation of risk and reward. "The final opponent was their specialist," she said, her tone reflecting respect for her adversary. He was different, skilled, cautious, and anticipating my tactics. This confrontation was a chess game of combat, each anticipating the other's moves. Pearl had to delve into her deepest reserves of combat training. It was a duel that tested her physical and mental limits. I realized brute force wouldn't work with him, she reflected. It had to be a battle of wits and reflexes. They circled each other, a dance in the confined space of the corridor. The specialist was quick, countering her moves with precision. But Pearl was relentless, adapting her style, looking for the slightest opening. Finally, the moment came. In a rapid exchange of moves, Pearl feigned a misstep, luring him into overcommitting. It was a gamble, but it paid off. In a flash, she reversed the momentum, disarming him with a swift, fluid motion. With the stunner in hand, she ended the confrontation, the specialist crumpling to the ground. As I stood there, catching my breath, I knew I had to move quickly, Pearl said, a hint of exhaustion in her voice. I couldn't let Helios Dynamics catch me. I knew I couldn't get off the station either. So, I made a choice to ensure station security captured me instead. We all listened, absorbing the gravity of Pearl's ordeal. Her tactical prowess and quick thinking had not only neutralized the threat but also ensured her escape from a more dangerous foe. Pearl concluded, a note of finality in her voice. That skirmish showed me the lengths Helios Dynamics is willing to go. But it also proved that we can outsmart them. It's not just about strength. It's about strategy, skill, and sometimes, the willingness to make the hard choices. The room fell silent, a collective respect for Pearl's bravery and ingenuity filling the space. Her story was not just a tale of combat. It was a testament to her commitment to our cause and a stark reminder of the formidable enemy we faced. Katy leaned forward, concern etched on her face. How did you get out? Pearl smiled wryly. Since I ensured that the station's security captured me instead of Helios. It was a lesser of two evils. Using my contacts within the station, I expedited my off-boarding process. Her smile faded. But it came at a cost. I'm banned from the Celestial Nexus for the next 5 years. The revelation hung in the air like a heavy mist. Pearl's ban from the Celestial Nexus was a significant blow for someone who had grown up on space stations. Frank spoke up, his voice filled with admiration. That was a brave move, Pearl. You bought us time, and that's been invaluable. I nodded in agreement. Your actions have given us a fighting chance. We owe you a lot, Pearl. Pearl waved away our gratitude. We're in this together. Every action, every sacrifice, is for our collective cause. The anomaly, and what it represents, is bigger than any one of us. Her report prompted a discussion about the implications of her skirmish with Helios. It was clear that the corporation was escalating its efforts. Our situation was becoming increasingly perilous, but Pearl's successful evasion and extraction from the Celestial Nexus provided us with crucial insights into Helios Dynamics' tactics and reach. As the meeting progressed, we also caught Pearl up on what we now knew and strategized our next moves, considering the new variables Pearl's encounter introduced. Her first-hand experience with Helios Dynamics operatives gave us a clearer picture of what we were up against. Helios is getting desperate, Pearl observed. Their aggression will only increase from here. We need to be prepared for anything. The conversation shifted to contingency planning and expanding our network of allies. Pearl's return, albeit with the cost of her access to the Celestial Nexus, brought a renewed sense of urgency and a reminder of the stakes involved. We'd opened up a worldwide conversation with our emails and we didn't see any reason to stay at the safe house any longer. The night had fully descended as we left the safe house, the stars above a silent audience to our clandestine struggle. In the darkness, they seemed to hold their breath, watching as we navigated the murky waters of conflict and conspiracy. The path ahead was fraught with unknowns, but we were united, our bonds forged in adversity and a shared vision for a future where the wonders of the cosmos were safeguarded for the good of all.